I felt like college was set up for people who had the money, understood the process, had parents that were going to be supportive. I didn't have that. Like, I had to take care of it on my own. So how I operate my team now is just like, obviously, when someone says equality, it's like, we'll accept anybody with a 1200, right? We'll accept anybody with a 1300, and you feel like you're being fair. But when you have some students who have never seen the test or just saw it 6 months ago, and then you have some students who from ninth grade, they've been spending their summers at Kaplan test prep courses. None of us, colleges, universities, we can be everything to everyone. Like, we have to be authentically whoever we are as an institution, and know that the students who feel like this is home are going to find their home. We need more enrollment managers as presidents of universities.
Ooh, yes.
The reason I say that is because I really do think that
Hello, humans. You're here for the weekly VineDown. I'm Emily Smith, your host, and I'm here with Shawana Singletary, the AVP of Enrollment and Chief Enrollment Officer at Adelphi. Shawana, thank you so much for being on the show. Even though you did not know that this was my show, you just said yes.
Well, I said yes because it was College Vine. And now that I've shown up and I'm looking at your face, it just makes it all the more better. So, hey, Emily.
Hey, I'm so happy you're here. I thought in my thinking, I was looking at you coming up on my calendar to record this episode, and I thought like, oh, this is awesome. Shawana and I have gotten to know each other over the last couple of years, and actually, really only the last year. We met almost exactly a year ago today, and I remember it very well because I was screaming into a dinner after like a 7-hour delayed flight. And I made eye contact with you and you were just like, hi, you're here. And I was like, I'm here. And you were a big bright light for me. Yes.
Yes, you made it. You made it. And I'm so grateful that we had the chance to meet there, and that we've been to NACAC together, and we've been to Chicago together. So yes, I'm incredibly excited to be on your show that I didn't know was your show, but now I'm so happy it's your show.
It's totally cool. Whatever gets you here, I don't really care. I'm just really glad that you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Shawana, I want to cover so many topics with you today because I love listening to the way you unpack thoughts and slow down thoughts so that we can get a cool window into your cool brain. And I'm curious if you will start by talking a little bit about how, like, you were a first generation student and you've now worked at a bunch of different colleges. And I'm curious if you can share how kind of your personal journey shapes the way you approach enrollment leadership in your position at Adelphi.
Absolutely. I do really believe in like the purpose, like kind of driving towards your purpose. And I kind of stumbled into education because I had an internship. I was working with some young women who were actually incarcerated. They were young girls, like under the age of 18. And I was there on an internship, and I started helping them prep for the ACT and the SAT. And they took the test and they ended up like leaving the facility and being able to go to the military and go into college. And that feeling that I felt of actually helping somebody get to that place of like, I can do this, I can come from whatever situation and then be able to go to school has been the driving force in my career. And I mainly worked in non-traditional education before coming to Adelphi. And so working with non-traditional students, of course, I can identify with them in the fact that they may not have seen college as their next point, but because of life circumstances, they ended up there. So what I try to bring to enrollment at a traditional university is just like the removal of the assumption that anyone knows what's going on. Like, even for students who aren't first generation, their parents went to school 20 years ago. Like, things have changed drastically since we all went to school. So I think for every family, and what I've tried to stress to my staff, like, I know first generation was like a cool buzzword at one time, but and still so. But what I try to stress to my staff is that none of these people know what's going on. Like, so you really do need to, we in higher ed, we like to call it hand holding. And it's really just it's not hand holding. It's like guiding them. It's walking that path and showing them the path to get to the information that they need to make the best choice for themselves and their family. Because ultimately, we don't just want them to enroll, like we want them to stay and feel comfortable and be successful. So yeah.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. And I think about like if I were things I say to like young folks in admissions, if you're in your first career in admissions, I always talk about how um, the people on the other side, parents and families and students, are like looking to you to lead the conversation. And I think that's really misunderstood. You're actually taking it a step farther to say like assume nothing. And I'm
Right.
curious how you like level in your own conversations to like assess quickly. I'm assuming nothing, coming in with a blank slate, but then I have to sort of very quickly understand like where you are, what you know, so that I can level appropriately in the conversation. What are some of the things that you ask in order to like really fine tune that assessment of like, let's assume nothing, but then how do I get to the next step in that conversation?
I feel like I'm fortunate in that I have a disposition where people do just want to like word vomit and like give me all the information possible. So
I
like
can relate.
the students do it, my staff do it, where it's like I had this situation where da 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 da, and like the student will say, "I'm thinking blah blah blah," and then the parent is saying, "I'm thinking blah 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 blah," and so I'm able to like you said, quickly assess where they are in the process and how I can help them get to whatever that next step is. And I think what I try to do, and I don't even consciously do it, like now that we're having this conversation, I'm thinking about it. It's like I try to get people to see that like I'm not judging them. I don't
Hmm.
like
How
wherever
do you
you
signal
are
that? Like,
is
what does
cool.
that look like?
Right. It's really just like nodding along, smiling, saying like, I get it. I totally get where you're coming from. I usually will pull something from my own experiences to help them like understand like this lady with the AVP title or, or the chief enrollment officer title completely understands exactly what you're feeling and experiencing by way of talking about my own twins that are 16 or my journey in college or another student that I've seen. I think people want to be seen. They want to be heard, like they want to be understood. And so once you can like, tap into that for students and families and staff, I think that like everything else becomes easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're saying sort of like warm openness goes a whole long way. And if you can
Yeah.
practice that, you kind of get more out of each
Yeah.
conversation.
I think we think too highly of ourselves. It's just like I know this thing. I'm this person. I have this title. I have this role. And it's just kind of like we're all people like, and I think even in any of my experiences in life, not to be morbid, but like I use this example all the time about like when my grandma passed away, the funeral director was like ushering us along and like moving too fast and just like super insensitive. And I use that like situation all the time because it's like I had to like get very stern with her and say, you do this every day. This is the
This is
first
new
time
for
my
us.
grandmother has ever died.
Uh-huh.
Like, I
Uh-huh.
need you to like get it together. Like, and so I think like in all situations, and especially when it's me, that's the person who has the information. I'm like, this is the first time they're ever doing this. And so I'm gonna go slow. I'm gonna approach it like they don't do this every day because I do. So I think,
That is
uh,
such a good reset. Dang.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that is a really good reset. I don't find that morbid at all. I think that's actually fair feedback for that person in that moment because you're right. You're like, this is the only grandma I've ever had die. Like this is the only time I've gone through this. I think too, like for myself, I think the things that I thought I knew in my 20s, my sort of perception of my own knowledge was very, very, very high. And now in my 40s, it's like it's actually lowering. Like my assumptions of like what I actually know is going down. And I like that because it sort of keeps me sharp in the way that you're talking about. Like it keeps me hungry in the way that you're talking about. It doesn't sort of have me on my high horse, like assuming things. And in fact, like the less I assume I know, the better to better result. So I think that's a great point. And I'm curious, like when you think about yourself in that student, like when you were a student, when you look back, what are some pivotal supports that you wish you had as a student? that
Well,
you are like hoping to, well, right? Like, where do you start? But yeah, like, and how would you sort of bring those into
yeah.
operationalization? That's not a word. In your current role.
Yeah, I think one, I was looking at the sticker prices of schools and I was just like, oh no, like that's not
Yeah, no,
even
thank you.
in my
Can't
world.
even
Like,
approach. Yep.
yeah, like I don't know who can afford to go here. Like who is their uncle? Like who where do they come from that they're able to afford this education? Not knowing that there was a whole scholarship, situation in place for many of the schools that I was looking at. So first and foremost, I would want to tell my old self, like, apply to as many schools as you can. Um, don't limit yourself based on cost because you really don't know what's going to happen. Um, that's one. That's a support that I wish that I had. And then it's all around financials. And then two, like I had no idea about student loans. Like I didn't
Mm,
even know. Like initially, like my first 2 years of college, I went to CUNY school. I paid out of pocket. I worked, like double time and overtime to be able to pay my own tuition. And I had no idea. And I just didn't have the best experience with FAFSA or the financial aid advisors, et cetera. But I did find out later on about student loans. And it just like kind of alleviated a lot of
wait,
the
that
stress.
that like you could have them, that they were
Yeah.
available for you to have. Not that you got like pulled in by too many loans. You're saying like I didn't
No.
even know I could have
I
them.
I didn't know they existed. So I was working and like they would drop your classes if you didn't get the payments in them on
Right.
time. So like if you've ever stood in a line, for anybody who knows anything about state, city or state institutions, 20 years ago, standing on the line at Bursar was like not fun to get them to put your classes back so you can make the payment. So I think that's something that I would have told myself a lot earlier is that like, hey, there's actually aid available to you. You have to pay it back, but it's money you don't have and someone is willing to give you so that you can be able to, kind of focus on your studies and not on trying to work as many hours as possible so you can pay your tuition.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is such a difference in the data when we think about sort of the total student experience when we also are looking at the context and the contextual data of when students are working or caregivers for others. And I think, yeah, I don't think that that student experience can be looked at as sort of like flat, even when we try to look at it holistically, right? Like we can't.
That is how I felt. Like I felt like college was set up for people who had the money, understood the process, had parents that were going to be supportive. I didn't have that. Like I had to take care of it on my own. So I just felt like everything was set up that way. And I think that's kind of like the approach that I take to, how I operate my team now is just like we don't know each of these people's situations. We don't know how they got here. We don't know what is going on with them. So we want to meet people where they are as best as we can.
Yeah, I mean, that start from zero mindset is like clearly really pervasive. And I think it's a really cool thing that you're bringing your team because it allows you to like really diagnose each situation. And this is helpful in your life as an admissions counselor, but also just your life, right? To like
Mhm.
be able to sort of diagnose something cleanly and then know what you're operating on is pretty awesome. And I'm going to ask you a question that I'm positive that as a Black woman, you are asked frequently and frequently to opine on at a predominantly white institution. But you have said, and we all know, and there are many. If you don't know what I'm talking about here when I talk about equity and equality, Google it, and there are some very helpful infographics about people
The
standing
different
on different size steps and starting at different places on a running track. But if you could talk a little bit about sort of like your view of equity not being the same as equality and like how you sort of run that program at Adelphi with your colleagues, I would be happy to hear you talk about it.
Yeah, I think is again going back to the meeting people where they are. I think that's what equity really is about, right? Versus equality. So I think I got my start in education at Kaplan Test Prep and Admissions. And what I learned as the center manager at the Richmond Kaplan Center is that there are families that start SAT prep for their kids in ninth grade. there are families that are paying for tutoring 15 hours, 25 hours. They have different packages depending on your financials.
Mhm.
I didn't see the SAT until I was in 11th grade. Like I didn't
Mm.
actually see the test itself until I was in 11th grade. So, obviously when someone says equality, it's like, oh, we're looking at students equally. We're giving them all, they all will accept anybody with a 1200, right? We'll accept anybody with a 1300. And you feel like you're being fair because you're saying, they all can come in with this 1200. But when you have some students who have never seen the test or just saw it 6 months ago, and then
Mhm.
you have some students who from ninth grade, they've been spending their summers at Kaplan test prep courses where I can tell you we only hired teachers who scored within the 90th percentile on the test. So you are being taught by people who have mastered this test. And so saying like equity is making the resource available to students earlier, kind of getting that SAT prep in front of all the students earlier, maybe having the test questions you know make sense to someone who doesn't live in this particular environment, go
Mhm.
on summer trips to wherever, um like making the questions something that all students from all backgrounds can understand and be able to decipher, um, giving them access to the information earlier, or making the information available earlier, et cetera. Now we're talking about equity. Now everybody we're at a level playing field. It's kind of like what you talked about the meme where one person is standing on a stack of books to be able to see, and the other person is they're both at equal level playing field when you look at the picture. One just has a little bit, and I know that there is so much controversy around um, equity, inclusion, diversity. It's like it was first it was the it word, right? Now it's a dirty word. So I you know uh, there's very fair weather support on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Um, but I think, obviously you have people who feel like, introducing that information earlier to one student so that it's now we have a level playing field is not good. That's not what we're talking about. If this family has money and they're able to do it, then they should be able to do it. And it's like that's obviously not that's obviously not what we're what I mean. People call it different things when you give everybody a level playing field. Um, I can just say like uh, as a Black woman in this space, I know that they didn't just find me on the side of the road. Like I was definitely fully qualified for this role, and being able to take it on. I'm grateful that, of all the candidates, I was the best one, and it had nothing to do with being a diversity hire or whatever. And there was a time prior to this administration where, recruiters would openly say, I had a recruiter openly say, like, we're looking for a diverse. I was like, wait, what? I was like, wait, excuse me? Like you're, so yeah, it's definitely a touchy space. But I definitely do my best at Adelphi to, because many of my staff, like they live in this area, they're from Long Island, they have had certain experiences, they haven't had other experiences. And I really do try my best to kind of level it for them so they can level the playing field for our students.
Yeah, I mean, I think I appreciate the organization of your thinking there, and I think, unfortunately, we're putting some structures in place right now that is just, like, making that harder and harder. I think about, like, College Board sunsetting the landscape product recently, which I think, is too bad. I know some of the folks who worked really hard on that product, and I think, like, it's data that was really helpful to schools. And I think things are changing quickly. And I think that was sort of like the big lesson I had out of NACAC was people feel more afraid than they have in a long time. And I think there's just more tentativeness in the profession that I've seen in the past, which is not our natural state in enrollment. Like enrollment, we are warm, we are confident humans. And I
Yeah.
just feel like there's like a little bit of the shine off right now, which just kind of sucks. I'm curious, Shawana, if you'll talk a little bit about kind of belonging and how you are running, like enrollment operations at scale, but also run these individual plays with individual students to make students feel felt, as you were saying, like, we meet them where they are. We don't make any assumptions. We care to get to know them as individuals. And I'm curious if you'll talk a little bit about sort of like belonging and what that looks like when it's authentic versus the things that are just like sort of the veneer of marketing.
Oh, absolutely. So, I think, with any place, when you don't have diverse thought at the table, not just diverse people, diverse experiences, diverse ages, etc. When you don't have diverse thought at the table, you can make assumptions about what people want to see. And I think there was a time where Adelphi wanted to increase its diversity. Like we wanted to, and we've made it there. Like we are 50% non-white students. And so because they wanted to increase diversity prior to my arrival, as far as students is concerned, sometimes we'd have multiple Black students on a particular piece, email, postcard, etc. And it could be a program that had literally like maybe like one of our master's degree programs that literally had 1% Black students in it, and then the Black student was on the cover of the actual piece. And so, first and foremost, me being at the table, right, to be able to say like, hey, actually, you don't have
This isn't representative.
Yeah, like you don't have enough diversity. And that, like, I kind of got a kick out of saying like you don't have enough diversity in this piece when there was nothing but Asian, Black, and Indian students on something. And it was like, no, actually, most of our students are white women. And I would love to see more of that in our brochures. And so I think Adelphi is genuinely a very diverse campus, and when I say diverse, again, I mean like diversity in thought, diversity in and how we look, religion, etc. And I think that creates a really dynamic and amazing learning environment, because you can learn from different people and work with different people and learn things about people that you wouldn't have otherwise known. And so we try to make sure that we represent the student body in everything from our student ambassadors to our emails, to our information sessions, to our open houses. Like we are very intentional about making sure that we have Spanish speaking students doing tours, that we have, and I think that helps with families feeling like, okay, they see me, like they can, switch to be able to explain something to me a little bit better. So I think that that's really how we make sure that we're captivating what we have here. If I was working at a different institution that had a different mix, I would work towards whatever that mix was. And so I feel like we're 10% Black, 23% Hispanic. So we make sure that everything has that kind of, equation in it.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? Because it's misrepresentation if you're showing like a whole bunch of Black students who are like, English literature master's students, and you're like, wait, that's
Exactly.
not.
Yeah, not a single one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and misrepresentation is a perfect word, and that's what I use consistently with my students, because it's like I had to tell colleagues like, let me just tell you that if a student comes here thinking that if that was what their mind was on, if they were like, I want to go somewhere where there's a lot of Black students,
You're baiting and switching.
Here, they're going to, like they're going to come here and then they're going to leave. Like if that's what you're looking for. Me and my children just went to Arizona State University on Friday. We did a campus tour. And immediately when we were finished with the tour, it was like, so what were the pros? What were the cons? Both of them said, it wasn't enough diversity, Mom. My daughter talked about the weather, how it's not as hot. No shade, obviously, to Arizona State University. It's just who they're attracting in that area, who was walking around on campus that day. My kids didn't see what they wanted to see. And so like, again, so even if I get 1,000 ASU brochures that show me something different, when we went there and actually toured the campus, we saw what the demographic is. And that's totally fine. If you're okay, like if you're okay with that, that's fine. If you're not okay with it, then it's not fine. And so
I think
you
just have to call your shot.
Yeah, it's important to just be who you are. You can't. None of us colleges, universities, we can be everything to everyone. Like we have to be authentically whoever we are as an institution, and know that the students who feel like this is home are going to find their home.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like just the very simple way to get at correct authenticity. Like I'm consistently asking my children, who are like the whitest humans on earth, like they're like transparent. I'm like, how many people do you see who are like who look like you? And we live in like a white ass ski town. Like it's I'm like making them look, and it's, you know, they're seeing a lot less diversity than I would like them to see. And when we travel, I'm like, okay, now how many white people are you seeing? And they're like, not a whole lot. I'm like, right. So I think you're right. Like you just have to, even whether it's as a parent or as a leader, you're just saying like, it's okay to just call your shot, be authentic about it in this way. And I'm curious if you'll sort of switch to layer on then how you view innovation and how you view like tools for outreach in the admissions office. Obviously, I'm interested in sort of the intersectionality between like technology and new tools and this, you know, authenticity as it relates to diversity. And I'm curious if you're thinking about the ways in which you can innovate without losing human touch, and like how do you decide in next chapters like what gets automated, what stays personal, and what you might lose and gain in that equation when we're thinking about sort of like layering on then innovation with technology on top of this mindset that you have.
So like we're all dealing with like the very real demographic cliff that everybody loves to beat us over the head with, but also the fact that college isn't cool anymore, right? It's like now it's all about why you shouldn't go to college. Like that's like the theme. And so
Right.
we are feeling the impacts of that. College is too expensive, this and that. We're feeling the impacts of that as far as our budget is concerned, what we
Sure.
have to work with, right? And so for me, the things to automate are the things that you can have human error on, like more so than anything. So the data entry, the you know, you get tired after a while of reading transcripts and being able to do that. So I love to be able to utilize AI in those non-human facing spaces. And for me, the things that are not automatable or are not AI, you know, I love AI. Like chat, I literally just my best friend told me to ask ChatGPT to make a picture of me based on what you know about me. And it was just like, I'm like, God darn it, Chat GPT is just getting better and better every day. But anyway,
What was it good? Mine is always a white dude with glasses. It's like a middle-aged white man with glasses. That's what chat.
That's hilarious that you've asked it for that prompt too. Like today was the first day I did it. I was a white lady. I had glasses though. I was a white lady.
Oh, I'm always like a 50-year-old white man with glasses. Like I look like a scientist. Like it looks like I know way more math than I do. Really,
yeah,
it's not great.
Boring. She looks kind of boring. She did have glasses, so I was grateful for that part. But then I told ChatGPT, actually, I'm a Black woman with micro locks, and so I just look like the Black version of the white lady. So that was really
perfect.
Yeah, perfect. I actually think I need to just change my LinkedIn picture to either or, just swap it out weekly.
Right.
But
no notes.
Yeah. So the parts that are that I won't compromise is really like that student interaction. Like there's nothing that's going to be better than you being able to connect with the student and hear them and listen to them. Now, I know that the recruiter AI function is like super popular with College Vine, but where I really want to see and where I think it'd be most effective at my institution is when students are already enrolled. Like that piece of it, like all of the forms and you got to fill out this form and then you got to go to this department and like that, those things like really suck all of the like fun out of this college experience. And I know, like, and I know we do these things because we want to make sure we don't get sued and we want to like cross our T's and dot our I's and make sure that everybody knew that the students saw advisement, financial aid, registrar, etc.
Sure.
Right. I get it. But where I feel like automation and AI would be incredibly groundbreaking at my institution is definitely on that piece where the student is supposed to know that they're supposed to navigate all these spaces. Because like getting back to what I talked about originally, where nobody knows what's going on. So like being able to have students have a a guide. Like that would be so cool. Like if each student had a guide and like you could just tell the guide like, "Hey, I'm actually thinking about changing my major. Like I really feel like it would be better if I was doing something else." And if the guide could say to you the way Chat GPT will say to me, like, "Listen, Shawana, you're in a sticky situation. Here's how you should handle your boyfriend's baby mama." Like it's just like it's like the students need that type of guide. That's the true story. Actually, I really just had that whole conversation with Chat.
I want like a separate show about your boyfriend's baby mama.
Exactly.
What will you do? Why don't you ask me these questions? I have opinions.
She's so crazy. So anyway, so if the students had like this guide to be able to support them when they were just having these thoughts, right? Like they were just having these random thoughts about maybe I should change my major, maybe I should even leave the school. Like I don't know, like having their guide, their chat, their bot, whatever, say to them, like, well, you have 90 credits. If you leave now,
Right.
like yeah. Like that would be so cool. I would love to see something like that. But I think like in the admissions process, kind of the paperwork is where I see automation being super helpful. But that guiding them to making the decision about enrollment, like I think we definitely need our people for that. Obviously, again, we're all working within the confines of our budget. So
Sure.
definitely where you can, pull some levers, not replace people, but like pay a little less for AI, have people do like some higher complex work. I think that's where it could work.
Yeah, for sure. And like I think more and more our conversations at College Vine are really around like our AI one stop and some of the stuff you're talking about as far as like serving students in the student experience. And I mean, I certainly remember that as a student myself. Like I was very well prepared for the getting into college process. Like I did have, like I went to a private school. I know it was so great.
You were one
Although
of those SAT kids starting
I was
in
one of
ninth
those
grade?
SAT kids, yes.
Mhm.
And not so surprising story on my private school's, annual bulletin. This used to be an all-girls school
Oh,
outside of
wow.
Philadelphia that went co-ed over time. And guess who ends up on the cover with the one black kid in her class is like me, the person who looks like the historical student who went to this school,
Yeah.
paired with like my black friend. And that was
Wait,
like, of course, that's the photo they
like
chose. And I'm
we're
like,
so diverse here. Like you should
yeah,
totally come.
like right, like here's the girl that's going to make the alumni happy, and then
Yeah.
like the one signal of like, yeah. But
Yeah.
I was the SAT kid, but I remember getting to like understand like, wait, what is a registrar, what is a bursar, like what am I doing
Yeah.
here? So a lot of our conversations here now are about that sort of like spaghetti of the student experience and how we can sort of unravel that for students, and that has been really, really rewarding. And I'm curious, like, how does your staff view AI right now? Like, I think this is changing a lot all the time. Does your admissions staff have positive sentiment about AI and the use of AI in the admissions process? Are they asking more for it? Are they shying away from it? Like, how do you shepherd them as their leader?
So, for the most part, I have I have folks that feel very positive about it. And I have some staff that can, like, literally, it's been a 180 with their productivity. Because an email that one of my directors would have read 3 and 4 times before she
Uh-huh.
sent it out had me read it. Did I say it right? Do you think that
Oh,
it'll be a
like the
problem if I say it
agonizing
like
over
this?
the details.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
agonizing over the details. Did I say it right? Rewriting it, leaving it in your drafts, coming back to it later.
Uh-huh.
That has been completely eliminated. So
Oh,
now
amazing.
I have somebody who is like way more productive than they've previously been. And of course, initially people have feelings about, oh, this is cheating, um, or this is, I don't know, like there's like, we're using up environmental energy or something using AI. I don't know. There's all these conspiracy theories. So I have a couple staff members who, and when I say a couple, it's like two, who are not as comfortable with utilizing AI. But the rest of them, they see how life changing it's been for us, and how it takes some of the weight and the work off of our plates. Like Adelphi is one of the busiest places I've ever worked at. I mean, I don't know, I don't know how to fully crack the code on why that is, but like I'm always in meetings. There's always multiple emails. People here have 300 emails in their inboxes, et cetera, at a time. So if we can find a way to cut that down, like we have to find ways to cut that down because ultimately, when I first got here, I felt like the team spent more time trying to figure out how they could get students not to contact them. So like the website was just like so long. The
Oh.
emails were so long. Like, how much can I possibly give you so you don't contact me? Because I don't have time to talk to you. Because I'm just
Oh,
like
it was like
busy.
building in this friction such that students would
Yes.
be deterred from building the relationship?
Literally, like, I'm just gonna give you
Whoa.
all the information possible, and you see some schools do this where they're, like, text students or email students and ask them a question. There's folks out there who like, "Yeah, you gotta, like, really get to know the students by asking them a question," so colleges will do that and just send out a mass, "Hey, Emily, what are you interested in majoring in?" And, like, because I shop schools, like, I'll respond, "History. What did you major in?" They never respond to me because they don't have time. Like, you just created so much
You, like,
busy work.
open this door and then not walk through it. Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't because you can't. You don't have the
yeah.
bandwidth.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
you can't possibly respond to every student, do all the, like, inner working things that we have to do, be at all the college fairs, read the applications. Like, it's just not. And they were talking about this a lot at NACAC. It's like this new generation of workers who have boundaries because the
Reasonable.
previous generation, right, exactly. So crazy. The previous generation were like, you get it all done, do all this busy work. You work 12 hours, 16 hours a day. And it's just like, that's not something that I want to perpetuate. So everywhere that I can find ways using the tools that are available to us to cut down the work and increase productivity,
Yeah.
I'm going to lean towards that always.
Yeah, that's a cool signal for your staff, and I think actually really helpful because 'cause you're essentially, like, helping them identify points of leverage,
Mhm. Absolutely.
in the spirit of keeping the admissions process, like, as good as it can be. And I'm curious, like, if you think about the ways in which higher ed loves to list reasons that, like, things can't be done, right? Like, we love this in higher ed to talk about, like, "Well, we're only doing it this way because we've always done it this way," or, "No, we couldn't possibly make a shift." I'm curious, like, how do you keep your teams moving forward into, like, trying stuff and out of just, like, a no first mindset? Because you don't strike me as, like, a no first person.
No.
You strike me as, like, a let's get curious about that person.
Mhm.
And I'm curious if you can tell me about how you sort of structure the behaviors of your team to keep teams moving forward into trying stuff.
Yeah, I think so. When I first got here 3.5 years ago, I did like this listening tour. Like, I wanted to hear whatever. And I think that's a misstep on a lot of leaders' part. It's like they
Mm.
kind of come in like gangbusters and whoever hired you told you what you need to be doing. And now you just like trying to accommodate that
Like,
person. So
enact
you're
these
just,
things. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, you're
yeah.
just trying to do whatever they told you to do. And you're not actually listening to the people who do the work. I think that is a major misstep of leadership, is not being a good listener, not actually hearing what the concerns are of your staff, and then being able to like put it all together to figure out exactly what it is that you can do to shift the culture to make it a better place for people to work and for them to actually feel comfortable making mistakes. And I think that's kind of the block between staff that innovate and staff that don't innovate, is that there's this, you think like you're going to lose your job because you made a mistake, or an idea you had, it didn't pan out the way that you wanted it to. So whenever we hire new people on my team, and to be perfectly honest, we don't, this is like the only admissions office probably in the world that doesn't experience as much turnover, because admissions is a place, like, it's kind of like an entry level job, so people kind of come in and out. But we actually haven't experienced any turnover in quite some time here, because when we do hire new people, when I have my little like intro meeting with them, I say to them, this is the freshest your eyes will ever be, right? You'll be working here and you'll start like doing all the stuff we do and using the little acronyms we use. But right now, your eyes are its freshest. So if you see something that doesn't make sense, somebody teaches you something and you kind of like, I don't understand why we're doing that. I was like, we need you to tell us like what that thing
Yeah,
is.
not just like, "Please tell us," or like, "Please let me know." You're like, "I
No.
am relying on you in this
Yes.
moment to surface
Yes.
this to me." Okay,
Yes.
love that.
Exactly. Like, tell us
Like,
what are
you
those
are
things.
important
Yeah, what you
to
have to
raise
say is
this.
important. contributing is important. And so like, and then also like when people ask me in interviews, oh, so what's the training like? It's like, I'm training right now. Like we're all training. Everybody is training always. Like the
Mm.
training never ends. And so I think if like being able to say to my team, like we're always in a position of learning, I think that creates the space and the culture of I can do new things. I can try something. I can, make a mistake. I can, like this is how we learn. This is how we grow as a team. And so I think that, as leaders, it's our job to create that space. Like it's your job to create a space where your staff isn't having anxiety about taking time off and or needing this or needing that. It's like, yes, we all work here, and I definitely create a space where like you're expected to be productive here. But I think you can be productive and also like care about people's well-being and mental health, et cetera, and have them not have fears around work. None of us are in this because we don't have anything better to do. So it's like you can definitely, well, some people, but but ultimately, like, we're all here for a reason. So like let's just try to run towards whatever that purpose is.
Yeah, but you're like very nonchalantly describing like a very, very overtly psychologically safe work environment. You're like, well, I don't know. I don't know why we don't have much turnover. It's like, okay, well, I'm kind of starting to see it is that you've like created a very purposefully non-toxic and purposefully psychologically safe working environment, which doesn't
Absolutely.
like, I think that probably comes easy to you, but I think some people listening will be like, wait, like there's just ease in your voice as you're talking about this. And I don't actually think that this is an easy thing to grab and to maintain. So kudos to you for creating that for your team. And I'm glad that it feels obvious to you because that's really, really important.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I like want to love my job, and I definitely want my team to feel the same way. So yeah, it has been pretty easy to have a like non-toxic, crazy work environment. It's been good.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Shawana, I have a final question for you. If you look ahead, like in the next 5 years, can you please share with me kind of like your boldest prediction about how enrollment management must evolve to serve students? And you can pick like whether it's students in general or a particular type of student, like a first gen or an international or an adult student. Like if you have a particular population in mind, that's fine, just call it. But I'm curious, like in the next 5 years, what do you think enrollment management has to do in order to continue to do our good work amidst, the shit show of current events and lots of things changing and sentiment around college changing? Like, what's your bold prediction to share with the audience here?
We need more enrollment managers as presidents of universities. Like
Ooh, yes.
we need definitely going to be putting my hat in one of these days, but
I was going to say like, and are we?
And right, exactly. Me, actually.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So the reason I say that is because I really do think that in order for higher ed to survive, we're going to have to be more like startups, be as hungry, be as innovative, be as excited, be as productive, be as kind of no nonsense. Like, having struggling programs and nobody to like pay attention to them, revive them, do something different with them, change the credit amount, do like not having that is going to be to our detriment. Like not being able to assess the market and really see students as the consumers that they are. They have choices. They don't have to come to your university. They don't have to come to university at all. Like they can do something different. Like they're being prompted to do something different. There's governors that are like touting, oh, we're going to remove degree requirements from all state jobs. And it's like, well, hold on now. That means like, oh yeah, they can have. So, I mean, as a person who's a proponent for going to college, like I'm just like I'm like college's biggest fan. So like you can't really have this fight with me. But like for everyone else who's kind of like, oh, maybe my kid could be successful and not go to school. It's like if we don't pivot, if we don't get more agile, if we don't I think that, you're going to continue to see college closures. It's like, we have to meet the needs of the people that we want to serve. And if you have this attitude where it's like, I know everything, I am the master of whatever my area of study is, and you need to come and bow to me in order to be in my program and to engage with me. Like, we're not gonna see.
We're not gonna make it. Yeah.
We're not gonna make it. We're just not.
Yeah.
Because imagine if airlines and phone companies and any of the other things that we consume and have options with, right? If they were like, well, we're going to just give you what we want to give you, and you're going to pay whatever we want you to pay for it.
Well, and in fact, we're not going to like really tell you how much you're going to pay for it until after you know you want it.
Yeah, like, we don't have to tell you how much it costs. We don't have to give you, like, you're going to call
and
customer
you'll like
service
it.
and get bounced. Yeah, you're going to call customer service, get bounced through 3 people. You're going to send an email. You're going to get a bounce back that says we're not going to respond to you in 10 days. Like, yeah, and you're going to give us your money. Like, that's really crazy and unrealistic. And it's just, and if we don't get a hold of ourselves, like, then you have to get a hold of yourself. Like, we're not the only game in town. Students have options, and you have to bend to the will of the consumer.
I love that sentiment, and you're making me laugh, which you're making me laugh about something that's inherently very sad. So well done, you. I like thinking about this, and Shawana for president.
Yes, exactly. I know who to go to for my my letter of recommendation or reference. My reference. There you go.
Can it be me? Is it me? Okay,
yeah,
great.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm gonna write such a good one. I'm gonna put that literature major to excellent use.
Oh my God, you're the literature major.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I can write with the best of them, Shawana. Me and ChatGPT. Shawana Singletary, thank you so much for being on the show. This was truly a delight to have you on. I super appreciate your time. And
thank you for having me, Emily.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Folks, we'll see you next time.
Have a great day.